Welcome to another Erik Wait whiskey study, and I'm recording this in March 2019, celebrating on my channel Bourbon Month. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Maker's Mark Private Select. This is a bottle that I brought back from Kentucky on one of my trips, but they also have releases of this whiskey for individual stores. Individual stores can buy an entire cask, and so you can get a unique bottle of Private Select perhaps at one of your local stores. You just need to search around. Before I get into this whiskey, here are my notes. Maker's Mark Private Select begins with a cask strength Maker's Mark and is aged for 9 additional weeks in barrels, specially fitted with 10 wood finishing staves in their limestone cellar that is similar to a wine cave. Where Private Select is different from Maker's 46, barrel customization is in using 5 different stave types that can be chosen by retailers who purchase an entire cask. This results in over 1,001 different possible combinations. As a single barrel bourbon, all expressions of Maker's Mark Private Select are bottled at cask strength, which ranges from 108 to 114 proof. This bottle that I'm reviewing is 110.9 proof or 55.45% alcohol by volume. Maker's Mark Private Select, like Maker's Mark 46, has a mash bill of 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley, and sells for around $75 in the United States. So I actually dipped this bottle myself while visiting the distillery. Really great tour. Not only be able to see the mash tuns, the stills, visit the cellar that they have for aging their Maker's Mark 46, being able to see the cask with the staves and all that, but you also get to hand dip your own bottles. I dipped not only this one, but also a bottle of White Dog. They call it Maker's White. Haven't opened this yet, haven't reviewed this yet. I bought this more for academic purposes in order to say compare what does the spirit taste like before and after going into a barrel. One of these days I'll open this, perhaps with some friends, in which we do a tasting of Maker's Mark. Anyhow, let's get into this. Nice amber copper color on the nose. So you don't get those sort of licorice anise notes that you do because it has no rye in it. But you do get the spice notes, as mentioned, from those various staves that are used. Now, as you saw in the notes, if you're getting a bottle from a particular store because they bought a particular cask, those might be different in profile than this one because the store that you bought that bottle from made different choices. As I said in the notes, 1,001 potential variations based on the inner staves. Now, the concept of inner staves should sound familiar if you're into Scotch, because that's what got John Glaser into a little bit of trouble when he first came out with Compass Box Spice Tree. He tried to do in Scotland what they do at Maker's Mark, which is put in those inner staves, because it wasn't allowed in Scotland, but it is allowed in the United States. And the funny thing is, John Glaser then went on to try to duplicate those aromas using different casks. So even though you can't have the inner staves, by using different casks and different staves on the outside, not inner staves, and different heads, and making those variations, he was able to sort of duplicate those aromas. And the funny thing is, not the fruit components or the butter or the caramels or any of those notes, but the spice components on this Maker's Mark do remind me of the spice components on the Compass Box Spice Tree. If you're a bourbon lover and you're considering checking out scotches, highly recommend checking out Spice Tree, Compass Box Spice Tree, and the big brother of that is the Extravaganza. Absolutely spectacular whiskeys. So I get a lot of butter, a lot of caramel, a lot of butterscotch, apple pie, a lot of cinnamon. It has sort of a slight autumn, I think, pumpkin pie spice character to it. Cinnamon, nutmeg, maybe even just a hint of clove, a little bit of cardamom. And it has this nice toffee undertones, and then some fresh oak. All right, on the palate. Texturally, silky, smooth. Starts off with the apple pie, perhaps a little bit of peach cobbler, then the vanilla and cinnamon kicks in. What lingers is the sort of apple pie characteristics. That's what really lingers. If a Scotch lover says that bourbons are too similar to each other, they need to spend a little more time with variations of bourbons. Perhaps the flavor profile isn't as broad as some Scotches because they're not using sherry and they're not using wine cask and all those sort of things. But the nuances and differences in bourbon is plentiful. There are a lot of differences in these whiskeys, and you may be in mood for something with a little more spice, a little more kick, a little more earth, a little more caramel, a little more maybe tobacco and coffee. So you're going to go with a bourbon with maybe a darker roast on the barrels or the higher rye compound. This is more of a gentle croissant. You think of French pastries and cinnamon rolls with apple pie and maybe a little bit of peach cobbler. It's more of that take. Really delicious. Sweetness, it definitely has some sweetness in there. Medium, it's not a sugar bomb. That's a really nice long finish. What would I give it in terms of score? I'm gonna go 92 points. This is a favorite of mine. I really like this one. As you can see, I've been savoring it, and I have seen other bottles that would be different at a few select specialty stores that tend to buy a lot of casks. There's one particular store that buys a lot of casks. I'm not going to give them an advertisement, but they tend to get these as well. All right. That's it for this review. If you subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, do you like watching my videos? I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe, share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking channels. And if you have any comments, any questions, leave them down below. And if you're a bourbon lover and you haven't been to Kentucky and you live here in the United States, I urge you to go and particularly visit Maker's Mark. It was one of my favorite tours. Absolutely loved it. All right, until next time. Cheers. Hey, if you like my review, be sure to check out these other whiskey videos.